Paulie, I'll start with you. What would you do with Scottie Scheffler?
You got to get a performance out of him for the start. I mean, for the quality of player that he is, Rich, his record, as Todd just said there, is terrible in these team events. So something is going on. I don't know if it's partnerships. I doubt if it's partnerships. Psychologically, there's something going on. I mean, you can talk there about, yes, there's going to be some games where, you know, you're going to play great golf, like you just said in the interview there, but you're going to get beat because your opponent just played so well. But Scottie Scheffler does not go out and have a winning ratio of less than 30%, which is what he's got in these team events, combined Ryder Cup, President's Cup, for a player of that quality. So something has got to change in his mindset. And I don't think it's something's probably got to change in the let's just talk about the mindset. I want to talk about that, actually, because the best players in the world generally have peculiar mindsets. That's what makes them so brilliant, stands out. They're lone wolves to a large extent. They have personality traits that kind of drive them to the top of the game. And one of them is a kind of an OCD, if you want to call it that, and also a control freak. And interestingly, you know, looking and observing at Scottie, who's so much in control when he's playing the game, the one place and the one tournament where he looked really out of control this year was when he played at altitude in Colorado. You know, because he's not in control. The ball was going peculiar distances, and he was getting agitated with that. So when you take him out of his comfort zone, where he's really in control, that's when he seems to be at his most vulnerable. And team events take you out of your comfort zone.
I think that's an interesting point. You know, there are a lot of baffling things about these team events. I think one of the most baffling things that I've seen in the 20 years I've been setting up here is Tiger Woods' record in the Ryder Cup, 13, 21, and I think 3. How can you make sense of that? You can't make sense of that. And yet you can find players that you wouldn't think would be lions but turn out to be lions in these team events. I think, personally, I think it's too small of a sample size to make a definitive call on his Ryder Cup and President's Cup records.
It can improve. Seve Ballesteros' record was really
I was just about to make that point early on. You're in my head.
That's dangerous if I'm thinking like you.
Yeah, it is. You're coming along. There's hope for you yet.
If you guys order the same thing tonight, then we're on to something.
Right. Seve, when he first started playing, you know, of course, he ran into the buzzsaw of Larry Nelson. Now, Larry Nelson, calm, cool, quiet. You wouldn't even know he was in the room, and yet he was an absolute buzzsaw in these team events. So it's so hard to work out the algebra in these events. Very often, these things reveal themselves in far more subtle ways. So when I look at Scottie Scheffler, I'm like, how has he grown as a player? First of all, you break people's hearts in team events. That's how you sort of wear them down. Think of Ian Poulter. Okay? You think of Seve. You think of Jose Maria Olazabal. You think of scramblers who break people's hearts. Well, he hasn't had the part of the game that breaks people's hearts, the putter, to come along and do that. So I'm looking at Scottie Scheffler as a completely new player in this. I think it's far too early to bail on Scottie Scheffler and Burns. I really do. Look, and you correct me if I'm wrong, on this golf course, given that you've walked around it, and in 4-ball play, you look for birdie output.
Yeah,
right? They're 1 and 2 in the world.
You're talking Burns
birdie
and Scottie.
output, birdie percentage.
Yeah. But
Scottie Scheffler is 1, Sam Burns is number 2. So on paper, they're by far the best team.
But they weren't in the pod today, which, again...
They weren't. They weren't.
So, but do they need to be in the pod? You know, they play golf together
I understand
the time,
it, but
week out on tour.
It's Tuesday. We can speculate a little bit. Who makes sense from that group? Sahith, Colin, Russell Henley, with Scottie?
With Scottie, of course, Sahith Morikawa make perfect sense. But I, for the life of me, I couldn't imagine why you would break up Scottie Scheffler and Sam Burns. For the life of me, I wouldn't imagine why you would do it. It's just too early to make a definitive statement about whether or not they could be a formidable team.
Paulie, they're good friends.
Yeah, that's part of it, but
when you were captain and vice, do you go to the player and ask the players individually, who do you want to play with?
Yeah, well, what we used to do in Europe, and Luke still does, is you have a conversation with each player, privately, you and the player, and you said what I said was, give me 2 players you want to play with, ideally, and 2 players you don't want to play with. That conversation will not go any further, not even to the vice captains from here, but I just need to know, particularly the 2 you don't want to play with, so I can avoid that. So you do take a bit of input from them, from not all of it, though. And personality, there's a lot of things that go into the cocktail of a good partnership, and it's not just friendship, and it's not just from the same nationality. You know, it can have different languages and different cultures, as we've proved so often in Ryder Cup. So there's a lot of things that go in, but just finishing on the Burns-Scheffler thing, the dynamic this week, you know, for me, being analytical in some ways, as Brandel says. I reverse engineer. I start with the golf course. What is the exam? What's being tested here? What is the lineup of the holes? And I'm looking at this golf course here, Royal Montreal. I'm seeing 4 par 3s that are all odd numbers. I'm thinking, that's interesting. That's unique. Odd numbers, alternate shot. I want an iron player to be playing the odd numbers. Come back out here, then you look at your team and you try to put a really good iron player with a really good putter. And back to Brandel's point, that's why it makes so much sense. The great putter that Burns is with the phenomenal iron player that Scheffler is. And I'm with Brandel. I wouldn't, I'm certainly not going to dismiss Scottie Scheffler's record as a match player in any way, because by the end of his career, I think he will have fixed that and it'll become a very good one. But I think that partnership makes a lot of sense on this golf course. It mightn't work on other golf courses, but on this golf course, their skill sets are matched to what the exam is out there.
See, we're this far into the show. I couldn't disagree. I mean, I couldn't agree. I mean, I can't disagree with one thing he said.
It's early, and they could flip these practice groups tomorrow. We'll see.